everyone, this is Ian from SenseiIan.com, and today we're going to learn how to make a proper fist, and as a bonus, how not to break your hand. So I received an email from my friend Mike, and he asked me, hey Ian, how do you make a fist and punch without hurting your thumb? So today we're going to answer that along with much more. So when we punch, we want to make sure that we can do so safely and efficiently so we can prevent any accidents from happening. So by accidents, I mean breaking or hurting the fingers, the knuckles, or even the wrist. So today, those are the subjects which we're going to cover. When we make a fist, we want to make sure that our knuckles are square. And what I mean is this. We want to make sure that our knuckles aren't like this, or like this. We want to make sure that they're all lined up on the same line, like so. With our fingers lined up, we want to make sure that our thumb is placed right in this little section. Our thumb is going to be tucked in right there, right smack in the center. So when we want to punch hard and fast and our fists are closed and we just want to punch as hard as we can, explosive as we can, just to test our own abilities, what may happen at the beginning of your training and your studies is this. You have your fist perfect. Your knuckles are perfectly lined. Your thumb is placed right there to where it's not going to be able to get hurt or broken. And you start hitting, and you start hitting, and you start hitting, and your thumb starts to slide out. Now, we don't want this. And we don't want this. Some people, like on World Star, or when people are trying to fight, they have their hands up just like so, and their pinky and their thumbs out. We're not in Hawaii. We're not doing one of these numbers, especially when the punch lands. When the punch lands, I don't want to have my thumb out. When the thumb is out, the pinky is out. When a finger is out, it's got a chance of punching, landing. Maybe the fist lands, maybe it hurts the guy, but maybe also your thumb is going to connect. When your thumb connects, it has a chance of getting pulled, has a chance of breaking. If we allow our thumb or another finger to break, our hand is out of commission, and we don't want that when we have to defend ourselves. So, with all 5 fingers in the right place, let's go on to figure out which knuckles to use properly. Depending on the style that you come from and which technique you're trying to learn or teach yourself, the knuckles you choose will vary. The choice of the knuckle actually goes beyond the knuckles and more so towards the actual bones of the arm. Now, when looking at the bones between the wrist and the elbow, we have the radius or the radial bone and the ulna bone. The thicker of the two is the radial bone, and it comes up towards the thumb. The thinner is the ulna, coming up towards the pinky. Now, these bones are not straight. They're actually curved, and they curve around each other. This allows us to do a twisting or a turning punch. So when you see people punch with their hand like this, and then you start seeing it like this, it's because those bones allow it. So when striking a target, such as a heavy bag, and we punch, the resistance is actually between our wrist and our elbow. And what happens right there is there becomes a bend, like a bow within the bones. Now that can be bad for your bones in your arm. However, we do have one saving grace. Between these two bones, we have a thin membrane called the Interosseous Membrane. As our bones begin to bow due to the stress of landing the punch, the membrane is drawn tight, relieving the stress, which in turn keeps the structural integrity of the actual strike. The force of the punch is actually distributed over the full length of the bones. This means we can still have full power. So back to the subject of the knuckles. Some say if you punch with these bottom two right here, you chance breaking them. So the break that these people are talking about is what we refer to as the boxer's fracture. And this tends to happen to the 4th and 5th metacarpal. The metacarpal is the rest of the finger bone from here down through your hand. So we have the second, third, fourth, and fifth. So with proper form, with the horizontal punch like this, the second and third metacarpal, which belong to the index and the middle finger, they align to the articulated radius. What this means is the fingers align with the joint of the radial bone. So right up in here. Since these align with this bone, the structure is kept and proper power can actually go through without anything breaking. If you view it like this, you can see how these two align, but these two don't. Since the bones align through the joint at my wrist, force from a punch can safely travel across the joints and the bones of my arm. This is why it's rare to fracture the second and third metacarpal. They're aligned. Because the fourth and fifth metacarpal, which is this and this, since they don't align, there's a greater chance and risk of them breaking when you punch with them horizontally. By punching vertically this way, by twisting the wrist up, now they can become aligned. So once again, depending on which strike you use, depends on which knuckle you use. Since we understand how to position our fingers and which knuckles we can punch with and when, let's go on to the wrist. So when I first started getting the martial arts, I thought I had good technique. After a couple months or years or so, I thought I was pretty good. It wasn't until I started hitting the heavy bag that when I punched and it landed, what happened was my wrist started to bend like this. I had weak wrists, and we don't want that. If your punch doesn't land properly and bends, you have a chance of damaging your wrist, and that is a very low quality strike. When you're punching, you can't afford to have a broken wrist. When punching, we need to make sure that our punch can penetrate. If you're having a hard time keeping your wrist straight when punching, try focusing just on your wrists when you're punching a bag. Try just landing it completely concentrated on what's going on with the wrist. Don't go so hard. Build it up. Just build it up. If you can do some supplementary exercises such as weightlifting, work on wrist curls or reverse wrist curls. Those would be very beneficial to help strengthen your wrist area. Another thing is to make sure that you have proper accuracy when your punch lands. If you're punching and maybe you're hitting with the sides, what that could do is as you hit right here, it might help and aid in the wrist bending, and we don't want that. So make sure your accuracy is on and you're landing your fist properly. For those interested in substituting another strike instead of using your fist, don't forget, we still have our palms, we still have our fingertips, you have the sides of your hand, you've got elbows. There's plenty else you can use if you aren't comfortable using a closed fist. I hope this video has helped those with problems punching. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at my website down below in the description, www.senseiian.com. If you found this video valuable, please like the video. I'd really appreciate it. And as always, please feel free to share this video with all of your friends. And don't forget to subscribe. If you have any questions or concerns related to this video, please leave them down below in the comments and I will get right back to you, I promise. Once again, thank you so much for watching the video, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.